Hello, 8th grade social studies students. My name is Natasha Matsas Daly, and I'm one of the iLearn specialists. And I understand you're going to be doing an inquiry-based project here very shortly. And at the end of that project, you're going to basically create something digitally that highlights the research and the work you put in this project. So today, I'm going to be sharing with you about 7 different apps or tools that you could use throughout your project. And all I'm going to do is go over them really quickly. It's going to be up to you to decide which tool will work best for your project. And understand that some of these tools you've heard about before, some of these tools you may have not heard about at all. So it's going to be up to you to explore the tools and make sure you understand how to use it before you start putting together a project. Because really, essentially, it's going to be up to you to get it all figured out and make sure you have the best product possible. All right, so we're going to start with number 1 here, which is Keynote. I'm pretty sure that most of you have heard of Keynote or have used Keynote before. It really is just a presentation app. It allows you to create a variety of slides, a variety of text, adding images. So I click the plus sign here. I can add images from my camera roll. I can add different sort of charts, some interactive charts, which would be really great for the type of project that you guys are doing. I can add some audio. I can add a lot of different features to this, but essentially really is just a slideshow. I do encourage you, though, if you are going to use Keynote, to really explore the different features within it and try to do something outside of the box or outside of what you typically do. It's not really fun to look at a Keynote presentation that's just text and images. Okay, so try to think of some other ways you might be able to use it to make it a little more interactive, a little more fun. Okay, include some hyperlinks, include some audio, things like that. All right, another tool that I think you're probably pretty familiar with is Explain Everything. And it's a tool we use to create our lock screens at one point. So Explain Everything is a lot like Keynote in the sense that you really are just creating a presentation. Except the difference with this is that you really have an interactive whiteboard where I can draw on. I can, at the same time I'm drawing, I can do some recording. So I can click this little record button down at the bottom. We'll say okay to that. And I have this laser pointer here. I could be pointing out interactive features or interactive things within my Explain Everything presentation. I could have several different slides, just like I could with Keynote. The other nice thing is that I can add existing videos, so things I already have in my camera roll. I can add some files. I can create new videos, new pictures. Explain Everything, like I said, is a lot like Keynote, but it allows you to add a lot more interactive features to your presentation. At the end of the Keynote presentation, I can export it as a movie file, I can export it as a PDF, or I can export it as an Explain Everything. Just know that if you export it as an Explain Everything file, whoever's viewing it is going to have Explain Everything access. Another one that you've probably heard of, whether or not you've used it a lot, is Prezi. And Prezi, we're just going to cancel this because it was loading here. Prezi is another presentation tool. It allows you to create slides, but the slides in this case usually follow some sort of path or theme. They're just a little bit different than slides you might see somewhere else. Let me just click on one here, and hopefully it will load quickly. And there we go. We have one about personalized learning. And if I were to click through this presentation, you can see that it jumps to different slides. It's kind of following a path here. And you can see that we have a lot of text, some images, and we can also add YouTube videos. So I think that's a great thing to know, is that you can add some video to your Prezis. But understand, in terms of a Keynote and Explain Everything, some of the features of Prezi are a little bit limiting. I will say, though, if you want to use Prezi and you're going to collaborate with someone else, you're going to work with a partner, make sure you go to Prezi.com and start your presentation there. That way, you can add your partner by putting their email in to your presentation, and you guys can work on this on the same time. So my partner and I could both be working on different slides of the Prezi, whether we're at home, whether we're at school, but I don't have to wait for one person to finish before I can jump on and do my part. So if you start in the browser, go to Prezi.com, you can collaborate with someone and then go back to the app, and you can work away and edit as much as you want to. All right, another tool that you're might use is, it's one of 3. They're the same thing, just with different names, slight variation. It's called Edpuzzle, Educanon, or Zaption. And these all have to be done on the browser. So I'm going to go back into Zaption here. And essentially what I'm doing is I'm creating interactive video presentations. So rather than just making a video or finding a video on YouTube, I can make my video itself interactive. If you look at the video I have up here, you can see at the bottom of the video there are these little tabs, and these tabs all indicate different places where the user is being asked to do something. So let me just highlight, let me see if I can get to one of them. This one here. So for instance, if my viewer is watching my video, I've created it, I can throw in a multiple choice question into my video. So for example, an example of binomial nomenclature is, and then whoever's watching this video, hopefully they've learned it through my video, would have to pick the correct answer. I don't truthfully know the correct answer for that question. But I can also add, just some text into my Zaption. So let me try to find a text element here. Here we go. So if I look at this little tab right here, I can see that this text element might be just giving another important reminder or a piece of information that my people didn't get from the video or I want to enhance from the video. So Edpuzzle, Educanon, and Zaption, you have to create an account for each one of those on a web browser, and with those you pull in videos. It can be a YouTube video, it can be something you created on your own. And with Zaption, you can see you can pull in a whole bunch of video clips, which I think is really cool, and you create essentially an interactive presentation by throwing in text, by throwing in audio, or by throwing in multiple choice or discussion type questions. Another one, since we're talking about videos, is iMovie. And I'm guessing that most of you have used iMovie at some point, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. But I do want to talk a little bit about a couple of your iMovie options. When you go into iMovie, you know you can create just a regular movie where you can pull in your own video or take video. You can pull in photos, or you can pull in any sort of audio that you might have. You can also create an iMovie trailer. And with both of these, I just want you to understand that there's plenty of different themes you can choose from. So I could be doing here something that, you know, it's really scary. So I'm going to use the adrenaline theme. I'm just going to cancel this and go back to the movie one as well. With the movie, you can see I have a bunch of different themes. I can do a CNN report. I can do a news report. So understand with iMovie, you've got to be a little bit creative in what your theme might look like. Add some titles. Add some audio to it. Add a variety of different pictures, especially if you're going to do something. Make sure you record your own voice over it so you are a part of whatever video you're putting on there. Let's see, the next app I'm going to highlight is one called TouchCast. And what I'm going to say about TouchCast is this is a little more advanced app. So if you're somebody that really loves exploring iPad apps and trying new things, this is certainly the app for you. But you really are going to have to take some time to play around with it before you understand how it works. The awesome thing about TouchCast is essentially what you get to do is create a completely interactive presentation. So I'm going to go into my projects here just so I can highlight an example of what I've done. I made a little how-to video, and I'm just going to pull this up to show you. What you can do with TouchCast is you can put your own face on there, and you can have a totally different background by using a green screen. And you can see I have some text on here that says, here's how to navigate this course. I'm going to scroll through just a little bit. And then I add these things called VAPs. Okay? And VAPs are essentially the interactive features. So here you see a poll just popped up. And whoever's watching my video could interact with that by clicking the correct answer or whatever they feel the right answer is within that poll. I can add web pages. So the nice thing is I could pull up a web page and I could highlight some important things or important features. Especially if you're doing research, you might find a map or something really cool that you want to share. You could pull up the web page and share that using that VAP. I could pull up a Twitter feed if it was relevant to my presentation. Let me go back home real quick and then just go to New TouchCast so I can show you what I mean. So if I were to click on Create New, and I'm just selecting this theme right here, and you can see my iPad staring at the ceiling. But if I tap on this thing called VAPs here, and I click Add VAP, I am able to add web pages, I can add photos, I can add Google Maps. Google Maps would be really great for the type of project that you guys are doing. I can add YouTube videos. I can add, let's see, what else can I add here? I can add polls, lists. So you can add a ton of different things to this and then allow your viewers to interact with it, or you can point them out on your own. Let me go back here. I can also have a whiteboard. So if I wanted to write right on my screen, I can do that. I can add some different titles, as my viewers are watching it. And also with the camera, this cool thing is I can add a teleprompter. So with the teleprompter, I can essentially type in my text, and so as the camera's on me, I can just read my text, and that way I didn't have to memorize everything that was going into that particular presentation. And I can do something like a green screen. So I could have a totally different background behind me. I could be in the Swiss Alps, or I could be floating down the Nile River if I wanted to as I'm doing my TouchCast. I think it's a really cool tool to use and it's fun to interact with, but as I said, it takes a little bit of learning. It's helpful to watch the sample video or the tutorial videos and then play around with it and see if it's something that you can make work. The last tool I'm going to show you I think is really helpful for what you guys are doing in this particular project, and it's called Nearpod. And you may have seen that some of your teachers have done Nearpod presentations. Now I'm going into Nearpod into the web browser. So far I got kicked out here. Let's see if we can get back. Into the web browser just to show you my Nearpod library here. So I have a library of Nearpods I've created. I can create a Nearpod, or if I have participants that are going to be doing the Nearpod, they can join it. And really, let's just click create here so we can see what it looks like. It's going to take me to the browser again. Might ask me to sign in, but hopefully not. But really what I'm doing is I'm creating a presentation that is interactive. I can put in PowerPoints, I can put in images, I can put in just about anything. Let's say we're creating a new presentation here. And I get started and I'm going to add a slide. I can add two types of slide, content slides or activity slides. If I'm adding a content slide and I click on that, I'll get some options of things I can add. I can add just a slide like a PowerPoint slide or text. I can add a video, so I could find something on YouTube and I can actually embed it right in my Nearpod. I could add a slideshow if I had a bunch of different pictures to choose from. So I can add a bunch of different types of content, and I can just write text right on slides as well. I can also add what's called an activity slide. If I add an activity slide, this is where the interactive piece really comes in. I can add open-ended questions. I can ask polls in my audience. A great way to start out your presentation is asking a poll. And I have quizzes, and I can do a draw it. I think draw it's really cool too. Let's say I ask somebody to circle the capital of Djibouti. Well, then I'd have a map of Djibouti on my screen and they'd have to find the capital and they'd have to circle it. So you have plenty of different options of different interactive features. The nice thing about Nearpod, I'm going to go back to my presentations here and just show you one that's already been done. Let's click on this camera one. I'm going to open it and let's make this a live session. When I want somebody to interact with my Nearpod, I make it a live session. And I see, I'm gonna have to go back here. Let's go to my library. And basically what I can do with that when I make it a live session is I can allow somebody to join. We'll do the Romeo and Juliet at one because you know what? That's what you're gonna be doing next year in 9th grade. So I'm gonna go ahead and click live session. And whoever's joining my presentation, they can go to nearpod.com or they can go to the Nearpod app, and do it on their phone, and they put in this little code and it'll bring them to my session. The great thing about Nearpod is whoever is viewing it, they can't move forward or back without me moving it myself. So right now, if you were doing my Nearpod presentation, you'd be stuck on this screen of good old William Shakespeare here. Let me move on to the next slide. People would join my course, we'd get their names put in so we'd know who was part of it. Or I shouldn't say course, so they'd join your Nearpod. Here's just a general text slide or a content slide, and that could be made with PowerPoint and then put right in Nearpod. And then I have a question. So what do you know about the play Romeo and Juliet? So on my viewer screen, what would pop up is a question, and they'd have to type in their answer. And as those answers came in, they'd all populate down here. And I'd be able to see how many people answered or how many people were still waiting for. Let me scroll through just a couple other ones here. Hopefully I can find a quiz question. Here's a slideshow, as I was talking about. So it's a bunch of different images of the Globe Theater. Okay, so you can add a slideshow. Especially if you have several images, slideshows are the right way to go. And let's see, I don't know if we have a quiz in this one. It seems like we have a lot of text. And that's one thing I will say to try to avoid. Try to avoid a lot of text. So I've given you 7 different tools, and remember, some of them you know a lot about, some of you don't. I encourage you to play around, find the ones that will work best for the presentation type that you are doing, and make sure that you understand that the best product might not be a keynote depending on what type of research you're doing. So play around with it a little bit, see what you can figure out, and hopefully one of these tools will work for you. Good luck!